Starting out, I'll just show some of the materials and products I'll be using. Just have the M12 polisher and sander gun, and then I have some cork detailer, compound mix, polishing mix, all of which I will go over in more detail, and then also just a basic wax. Starting out, I like to just go over with some cork detailer and just give it a nice spray. Usually you'd give it a good clean if it is incredibly dirty, but with this here, you can just give it a nice wipe. Just gets a lot of the initial surface dirt off of here, and you can get a better idea of what you're working with. And then usually, even if I can't tell there's anything that's stuck on just the surface layer, I will take a bit of the clay that comes with Meguiar's polishing cork detailer, and I'll just take it and work it one direction at a time. So I'm just going to go left to right, starting out. You can add some more. Just going the same direction while you work in one patch. Just to remove any of that surface debris. And then I usually just go over with a second layer, going the opposite direction you went the first time. Up and down, up and down. Once I've done that, I'll usually just give it a nice wipe. And obviously out in the sun, this will dry pretty quick. It's not ideal to necessarily do this in direct sunlight. It's better if you have a bit of shade, but at the moment we don't have that luxury. So I will take my M12 gun with just this applicator pad. I'll come over here to this hose. Just gonna hit it with a bit of water. Make sure it kind of soaks into the pad a bit. And then usually you just need to give it a bit of a spin and it will let off a lot of that excess water. And then we can make our way back to the tractor. And once we make our way back, we have the Meguiar's compound, the ultimate compound. Nothing too crazy. Shake that up. And then I usually just do 3 kind of sections like that. And then you basically just take it like this and you work section by section, just stamping down initially, and then you just go over it. I like to do a combination of lines as well as working in with some circular motions. I find that does the trick usually. And I won't take a very big section at any one time, just because I find it works better to work in smaller sections. But you do have to work somewhat efficiently because this stuff will try and dry on you, and obviously we'd rather not leave behind that residue. But even starting out with something like that, nice and simple, and then just giving it a wipe. It doesn't initially usually give that super shine and pop, but that's because we've only done the compounding and we've only done this top section. So I will go over and I will do this bottom section here. I usually try and keep a certain amount of moisture on the pad at any given time, but then I will just reload it back up. Kind of keeping it at a steady speed, not too fast, not super slow, just going over and kind of working your way through. Obviously I might have put a little bit too much pressure, but usually I find I can go back over and absorb it. And then again, just give it another wipe before anything dries. Wipe up any of the mess if you launched any of that compound. I usually like to just wipe it with some cork detailer after each time I go over. It's just more personal preference. I like to know that I'm keeping it clean at all times, just because that's how I like to roll. And then even now, as it dries, you can see a bit of the difference. I don't know how well it shows up, but I'll just take you down here. But we've already got a noticeable difference just between the taped off section and the knot. So from back here you can see the difference in color. And sometimes I will even take the pad, if I'm feeling so generous, take the pad over to the hose and just hit it with a little bit more water. I also like to squeeze out any excess compound and surface layer paint it might have picked up. Just because on these sun fading ones it does turn quite pink because you are taking that top layer off. I'll just leave it a bit wet. And once again, just go spin it on the polisher. And then I'm just going to do a second layer of compounding just over the whole area, a little bit quicker, not worrying too much. And then I will move on to the polishing. You don't have to do a ton. Obviously I did a little bit too much on that one. About the size of a dime or a nickel, that is probably about good. And then I like to start off slow, especially after I just added a fresh amount of water, because I find I end up creating more of a mess. But obviously, do whatever you feel is right if you're following along, or just noting this down. It is kind of something you have to play by feel, depending on the amount of moisture. Now I might go a little faster, work in more circular motions. And then I would say that is good, and quickly grab my rag and dry it. Dry it and wipe it, just so I can avoid any of those streaky marks you get if you leave it. Once more over with just a quick spray and wipe of the cork detailer from Meguiar's. And I will let that dry. Now usually once I am comfortable being done with the compounding, I will put back the compound, and I like to switch applicator pads. I don't know if it makes a real difference. I just like to have one that is more discolored than the other, especially as I'm moving on from different steps. So next, yeah, we've got the Meguiar's Ultimate Polish. Pretty similar, except for, you know, this is more fine and it'll make it look better. And then obviously the different applicator pad, which I'm just going to run over the hose. You've seen this too many times. And then usually for applying, shake it well and everything like that. And then I kind of just do a copy and paste of how I laid it out before. Obviously just, you know, nothing too crazy. Something like that. And then, yeah, just start stamping. I find I can get a little bit more confident with my speed and control with the polish. I just like to take my time with the compound. I'm only going to work on this one back half for now, just because I don't like giving it too much time to try and dry. And we'll just give it a wipe. Again, just gonna sneak in here. Just open it up. Once again, just a few drops. Find that always works, and just I'm not going to tell you to necessarily do it the exact way that I'm showing here. This is kind of just how I've learned to do it over time. And I find you don't need to think too hard. I mean, obviously be careful about your pressure and speed. But other than that, I mean, I find it to be a pretty enjoyable process of just kind of going around and just giving it all a bit of a polish. You can spend longer if you are really wanting it to really pop and shine. But I mean, I find just even going over it a couple times will make an unbelievable difference, especially if you have that sun bleaching and kind of that dull look that has come to it. And usually, after this gets all dried, I'll hit it with the turtle wax, which is what I've used so far, but today I've decided I want to try something a little different, and I've got this Mother's Carnauba cleaner wax, which I've never really tried it, but today we're going to try it. This is pretty much the same process, at least with most waxes that I've seen, is kind of, once you got everything nice and dry, you just obviously give it another shake. And then I'm just going to go quickly give the applicator pad another wash. Just going to double check the directions, as you should with whatever wax you are choosing to use. And then, since this hasn't been used in a while, I'm just going to clear up any of the old dried. The cap is a little plugged up at the moment, so I think I'm just going to kind of loosely hand apply it. I would usually do a bit of an X shape, but obviously that's not exactly what we're working with at the moment. Video. Say hi. Oh yeah. Huh? Edit you out. Oh. But you came right during the waxing phase. Don't say that. I haven't even gotten through this one. Obviously, there's a lot happening behind me with this tractor delivery and all. But there we go, we have it. Just kind of lightly on there. You can feel free to take more time than I am, obviously. I'm just trying to be somewhat proficient for video's sake. And then you just kind of let it dry out. It'll go pretty clear or look more hazy, but obviously you can kind of tell once it's dried. So we'll just give it a couple minutes and then come back and give it a wipe and show you the result it has. Okay, and after that, come back over here and just give it that final wipe down, and then just hit it with one more go over with that reliable work detailer. And let me just peel off some of this tape. Even now, you can see just the front difference. I mean, we have a bit of splotching from where that quick detailer was, but you can even see that tape. You can see the reflection on this side and almost nothing over here. Take you around to the front. You can kind of get that idea of it's a little difference, but you can really see it, and that's what makes the difference for a lot of people, especially when you get a unit like this you're trying to get sold. Because there's nothing wrong with this tractor, it's just sat in the sun. And please comment anything you'd like us to try or show off with our equipment. If you're interested in getting a quote or you're local to the Greater Victoria area, you can check out our website down below or give us a call, 250-474-3301. We're always looking to help and serve. Thank you very much, and I'll see you later.